Well, I'm going to the country, gonna eat a million pizzas. I'm going to the country, gonna eat a million pizzas. Millions of pizzas for me. Yeah, pizzas for me. Welcome to Wrestling with the Paranormal. I am, of course, that gingered up, bubbly son of a bitch. I'm Canada Dry, damn it.
And of course, I am the Magician. This is the only paranormal show made for wrestling fans by wrestling fans. Can I just say one thing? Why is the cards on my floor? What's going off here?
There's cards on your floor. Did somebody play 52 pickup with you?
I don't know. I've just come on in. There's the cards everywhere.
And of course, we have our friend Noob joining us. Welcome, Noob.
Welcome, Noob, as always. I mean, he tweets us every single day. And he's obviously here. So, all good. All good.
So, what do we got on the show today?
Well, we have got, of course, the effing Galaxy news. Have we got anything for the Vault this week? I'm not too sure if we have or not.
We don't have anything for the Vault this week. The Vault is empty. I looked everywhere, but we didn't find anything for the Vault.
Right, okay. Hopefully we'll have something for next week for that. And of course, we're talking about the Graveyard Shift, which is, I'm kind of excited for this because I've never done the Graveyard Shift.
Fear the Graveyard Shift.
Sorry, we'll fear the Graveyard Shift. But that's obviously our main event. But
let's talk about that for a second before we move on to the main, to the what's it called? What's our little segment called? Around the effing Galaxy. Have you ever worked the Graveyard Shift?
Nope, I have not. And after what we're going to be covering today, I refuse to do it. But I believe you have, though.
So, was that on the table before? Have you ever considered it? Was it offered to you?
No. Plain and simple. No, I'm not even going to beat around the bush with this. I like my sleep. To be honest, I'm just going to say that.
So I've done Graveyard Shift. Sometimes you just have to do it. That where there was no choice. It's either that or be homeless, so you had to take the job. So we'll get into that a little bit later, and I'm going to tell a personal story a little bit later.
Stay tuned for that.
And this paranormal story, this paranormal thing that happened, led to my friend's death.
Can you just repeat that just so I make sure I heard that right?
This paranormal story I'm about to share led to my friend's death.
Okay.
So you've heard it here first. This is a Wrestling with the Paranormal exclusive.
Exclusive. Stay tuned for that. So, but first of all,
also we have a little bit later we got the Bowl of Truth.
Oh, we've our good friend. Is it the voiceover again? Because I really did an amazing job last week.
It's Jeremy Isaacs, the effing expert.
Yep.
So here we are around effing Galaxy. And we're big on.
Now, of course, this is where we travel all the way around the galaxy, not the world, the galaxy. So we find everything from the weird to the downright bizarre. Would that probably be accurate?
Yeah, it's mostly wrestling news because we got the paranormal stories. This is a way of fitting it in because this is, of course, the only paranormal show
made for wrestling fans. For wrestling fans.
That's right.
Hey, there you go. So, should we get into our stories then, shall we?
All right. So, what do we have first?
Now, this story is obviously something we put on the effing wrestling page, which you can obviously find that.
Well, all of these are on the wrestling, effingwrestling.com.
That is correct. So everything we're about to cover is on the fmwrestling.com, so you can go and give these a read. Now, we know what Ric Flair's like. He says a lot of silly things. Now, he said something which we posted this week, and I think it made you laugh. It made me laugh.
Oh, maybe a chuckle a hell of a lot.
So Ric Flair says he should get 10% of Jeff Jarrett's AEW Full Gear money.
Oh, man.
I don't even know how to begin with this, but Canada Dry, please make a start on this.
Okay, so the whole thing is before the Ric Flair's last match, Jeff Jarrett hadn't wrestled in a while.
Mm-hmm.
I think the last time he was in the ring was in NWA, but he was a referee.
Yeah.
So he's taking credit that Jeff Jarrett is back in the spotlight.
Right. Now, I also have the quote here if you want to read this out. Let's get to the last night because to be made a start. We will obviously cover that later.
We'll get on that. We'll get on that.
So I do have the quote for this, what Rick said, if you want me to obviously reiterate.
Read it out.
He said, he got the rub, him and Jay both. They'll have them for another main event in a goddamn pay-per-view on AEW. What do you think? I feel like I should be getting 10% of their goddamn money. That's the official quote, what Rick said. Dear.
Oh,
I mean, he's basically saying...
Hey, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think it's just typical Ric Flair stuff, but he's basically saying, look, they've got the rub from me because of this last match, but if you watch that last match, it's not really the best. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It was awful match, but what do you think? Would you reckon to obviously Jeff Jarrett in AEW?
I think it's absolutely awesome. I love it. Jeff Jarrett, he's an over-the-top character. Choke on this slap nuts. I loved it. I loved it all the way. But he's also good for booking and stuff like that. He's a guy. He's a great hand all around. Like he's not going to be wrestling a lot. Let's be honest.
Nope.
He's going to have this is just his start, and it's a way of also helping Jay Lethal. Because Sanjay Dutt can't wrestle, and
Satnam Singh's still technically green.
Singh, sorry, and Sanjay Dutt is the big guy, right?
Yep, that's correct.
He's not ready. So, in the meantime, it will be Jeff Jarrett filling those boots.
Yeah, I think that's well said. But I've just realised something. Do you remember we had a bet last week for Full Gear?
Oh, we did.
Yes, we did. And guess who won? I did. And do you remember when Dollywood said it would go down to the women's match? Jamie Hayter and Toni Storm? It went down to that match because you said Toni Storm and I said Jamie Hayter. So you owe me some money, boy.
Oh, well, I guess I will be sending that to you right after the show. I'll be covering you. I guess how much is it for the show? How much did you pay?
It was $35.
$35 American that I owe you?
Yes, you do.
All right, I will send that to you right after the show.
I just thought I remembered. I thought he's not getting away with this one.
Oh no, I did legit forget about it, and I didn't know if I won or lost because I did very well on that pay-per-view.
Yeah, I did as well. I think they would that match. We obviously were split. And there was another one, but it boiled down to that actual match, which obviously, you
realize I won the FSGP world title on that card. So,
woo! Very good. Very well done. Well done. Right, enough about that. Should we get back to the Galaxy news?
Right, let's get back onto the wrestling.
There we go. So, again, you can find this at fmwrestling.com. Kenny Omega says it's not the Elite against CM Punk and encourages fans to let it go. We've obviously covered this a lot. I don't want to spend too much time on this a little bit, but what's your thoughts?
Well, here's the thing is that as soon as he said this, he was playing us a bit because he did the Bowdoin in the show. He did the GTS.
The one of the Bucks did the Buckshot Lariat fail, which were hilarious. It was, if I remember that right.
So it was, are they just being asses or what?
I mean, a lot of fans are saying online that this is another feud waiting to happen.
So let's put the other thing that was said, Tony Khan's praise to CM Punk.
Yeah, is this just basically being like official, or do you think there's more to this?
Apparently, did you see Kenny thank Kenta after Dynamite as well?
I believe that's on Twitter as well. I think I did see that comment.
So either, this is my thoughts, either Kenny and the Young Bucks are complete asshats, or this is a work.
I want to say this is a complete work, because if CM Punk does come back to AEW, we've all been duped for absolutely so long.
Well, no, I think it was a real thing that they maybe repaired and said, let's make some money off this.
Yeah, I mean, that probably. Do you think it obviously worked though, based on obviously what we know backstage?
Well, it worked with Brett and Sean until the screw job.
That is true, but obviously Dark Side of the Ring kind of put a spanner in the works with that, to be honest. Because everybody didn't know what went off until actually then. That's just my thoughts anyway.
Yeah, so if they can repair that, I think there's a lot of money to be made off of this.
Yeah, we shall definitely see what the next few months bring. Now, I do believe you've got some breaking news before we get into our next story.
Right, I totally forgot. If you just watch Rampage, 10, is he going to be even called 10 anymore? Preston Vance, 10, turned on the Dark Order.
Wow. Okay.
He ripped off the mask of Evil Uno, and he pledged allegiance to Roosh and their faction. And he took off his mask right at the end and threw it at the feet of -1.
I think that's the only bit what really annoyed me. It's -1. Do you know what I mean? It's really. I mean, what's your thoughts on this? Obviously, we've only not long since just seen this.
Joseph Graham thinks that Preston Vance is replacing Andrade.
Could be. I mean, the one thing I like about this is the fact that it's something different. I mean, no disrespect to the Dark Order. They've kind of lost the way a little bit. I mean, obviously, everybody's all leaving.
I don't think I want to comment on Joseph Graham's comment, because I think this was planned regardless.
Before, obviously, this situation with Andrade?
Before Andrade was acting like a goofball. They were teasing this already. So this is just following through on the plan. And Andrade is under contract for a while. Are you not going to try and utilize a talent like that, even though he's acting like that? Can you not straighten him out and say, listen, let's get this thing on the go here?
I think the thing is, though, with Andrade's character is so very abrupt. I think he's just not bothered regardless. I think he wants to go back to WWE. But
he signed a contract. They're not going to release him. They're not going to let the guy just walk over to WWE and try to bury him.
But Andrade could do as much as he can to get out his contract, as the saying goes.
This is the thing. Just like I said with CM Punk. If CM Punk never comes back, don't buy him out of his contract. Pay him his money and let him sit. Same with Andrade. Pay him his money and let him sit.
Yeah, I mean,
or straighten out and fly right.
Yeah, I mean, you could work that way. Because I think the most frustrating thing for a wrestler is sitting at home.
Oh, exactly. You hear these stories of Brody Lee even before. And he was so frustrated. And all these other guys. I can't think of any off the cuff, but that's the only one I can think of at the time. I was sitting for a while.
The thing is with Mr. Road Elite, as I always say, I always remember the Talk is Jericho episode, which he spoke about. He was so frustrated sitting at home, he just wanted to wrestle.
Yes, yes.
Probably one of my favorite actually episodes there. But yeah, we shall definitely see what happens. I mean, where does the Dark Order go from here now? I mean, who's left?
Well, they did bring back what's his name?
Stu Grayson?
No, the other guy.
There's only John Silver, Alex Reynolds, Evil Uno, and Stu Grayson.
Oh, I think it might have been. Was it was the other guy? Alan Angels?
No, he's in Impact.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think it was Stu Grayson that they brought back for one episode. He was there, so.
Yeah, he's not actually on the roster on the page yet, so we don't know really what's going on with that one.
Yeah, you got to think like with some of the key members leaving, is it a matter of time before they're just like a trios team?
Could be. I mean, you kind of do feel bad for him because, I mean, at first when they first started in AEW, I'm like, oh my god, here we go. But as the weeks progressed with BT and stuff, you kind of actually love them, love to hate them and stuff like that. But I feel like now,
right now they're pretty much are a trios team. They got Johnny Hungy, Alex Reynolds, and Evil Uno.
Yeah,
there's no one else left after that.
But I don't think they'll be around much longer as a team. But we shall definitely see on that one.
Joseph Grimm says Stu Grayson was probably a one-time thing since they were in Canada.
Yeah, you could probably see that, but thing is, I really big massive fan of Stu Grayson, but
a massive fan. Are you sure?
Yeah,
like a massive fan.
Not a massive fan, but I'm a big
fan. Like,
because
I'm a massive fan of Bret Hart. Are you that level with Stu Grayson?
All right, that level. No, not the Bret Hart level, like a different level, like level 1.
Level 1 fan of. I'm a level 1 fan of blah blah blah.
Oh dear. Great. Right, should
that's a new way of recognizing fandom.
Level 1, level 2, level 3.
Level 1, level 2, level 3, and Bret Hart.
What's level 1 then? Eugene?
Yes, I'm a Eugene fan. I'm a Eugene level fan of.
Oh dear. Right, should we get in? We've got a few more stories to get through. Now, this is one you obviously put on the page. Saraya wants her brother on AEW Dark. You obviously did the article on this one. I'll leave this to you.
Well, this is interesting because the movie Fighting with Your Family, that was a big part of the story, was that WWE wanted her and not her brother. And Alex Haney was pointing out that he's a bit of an asshat. And he had made threats to WWE and stuff like this. I guess he's just a bit of a hooligan, I guess, as you say in your country.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best definition. So,
but Saraya only wants him on Dark. Could that hurt? Not really.
No, because I mean, can you want us to remember some people's names on AEW Dark?
Hey, Joseph, you cut that out.
Oh dear.
Don't make you smile again on the podcast.
Dear. But yeah, I mean, it is AEW Dark. It's not like a big deal. I mean, problem I've got is not many people's going to watch that.
Well, she was also talking about having the whole night family when it goes to England.
Ooh, interesting. I cannot wait, by the way.
Like that would be a cool little thing where they're all a part of the show, kind of like when the Hart Foundation was going and they had that Stampede thing. I think that'd be cool to have her whole family involved.
Yeah, we shall absolutely. But I don't know much about her brother. I didn't realize obviously he was a bit of a hothead. So, but as you mentioned there, it's only AEW Dark. It's not the main show. It's not Rampage. But what's it going to hurt? Why not?
Exactly. And then like if they like him, he can climb the ranks.
Have I bought? No, because it's not even on sale yet. We know they're coming to the UK in 2023, but there's no official date. There's no official venue, so we can't buy tickets, unfortunately.
Now, will you try?
Oh, of course I will. Of course I will. I mean, I'm already going to 1PW again in February.
Okay, that's a level 1. This is a Bret Hart.
Level 1, 1PW. Level 17, I don't know, AEW.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be really, really hard because the fan base over here prefers AEW to WWE.
I don't know, because you get a lot of people that are very loyal still. Like with the what was it? Crash. What was it?
Clash at the Castle.
Clash at the Castle.
Yeah, you got a big following there, but a lot of fans I do know prefer AEW simply because one, I think it also boils down to the channel. I mean, it's on like a channel which is 95% of the people can actually watch it.
Is WWE harder to watch or AEW is harder to watch?
AEW is a lot easier to watch.
Really?
Yep.
But you're not getting it on the same day as us, obviously.
No, so obviously AEW airs on Wednesday as in the US. We get it on the Friday. We get Rampage on the Tuesday. So it's kind of...
So you're getting it the following Tuesday.
Yeah. So it does kind of not spoil things because you have to try and stay off Twitter because obviously all these spoilers and stuff.
And yeah, being part of the AFW and FN Wrestling, you're obviously getting everything spoiled for you.
Well, no, not really, because it only says really how many matches I've got right. It doesn't tell me which matches I got wrong, which makes it more. So I'm watching a show going, "Oh, I said this. Oh, that."
So is this why you're out of chat so much?
Yes, because
okay.
Because I don't want the spoilers until. I mean, I'll probably watch the show tomorrow morning. So, because it will be, I think, be live in about 20 minutes actually. So, ooh, yes.
So let's just read this question. Does UK prefer AEW because of what WWE did to wrestling scene in the UK?
I think that's probably true. I think WWE has actually destroyed the UK wrestling scene because there's not many popular names in the UK. Obviously, they've gone to a bigger thing, which is great, but there's still, as the scene itself is pretty dead. I mean, the only two shows I can probably think of in the UK now, indie shows, is obviously 1PW, which is obviously started back up this year, sorry. And then UKW, which is something I can't remember exactly what it stands for. But that's the only two as of late, really, to be honest.
So I just thought of something. Let's include the Adrian story for the vault. So that way we can still do the vault bit.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. So we'll finish off with our last story, which I believe New obviously mentioned it at the start of the show. Reys Thanksgiving nightmare. Now, this has caused a lot of people on Twitter of kicking off. I personally don't like it. I think it's a bit distasteful, but what do you reckon?
I don't know why they didn't show us on TV.
Yeah, could have.
I guess because there was no show on Monday. They can't do it. So I guess they had to just show it. And they'll probably re-show that on SmackDown, maybe.
Yeah, could do. But thing is,
yeah, it's a classic wrestling story, and it's just about dad getting his son over. That's all it is. I don't think it's distasteful. Why is it distasteful if you think it is?
I just think that there's levels you don't push, especially when it comes to family and stuff like that. I just feel like that's just a no-no. I just want to read the quote what one fan actually put. Just give me a second to find the story. There we go. Found it. One fan put, "Really? What the hell? So disrespectful. Shame on you, WWE, Triple H, Stephanie McMahon. So disrespectful. I was happy when you moved Ray to SmackDown, but this, not cool." That's a quote from a fan, what they actually put.
But what's not cool about it? What specifically is not cool about this?
It's hard to explain, but I just think that...
Is it the sanctity of Thanksgiving?
You could put it
You
in
shall
that way.
not fight during Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I just something like that doesn't really sit well with me as a thing. I don't know if it's just
What doesn't sit well with you? Like, name what it is.
I just how it makes me feel. It like pisses me off. It's like you go into somebody's house. You know what
But
I mean?
it's his dad's house. He grew up there.
Yeah, I
It's
get what you're
really his
saying.
house.
I don't know. Just for me personally, I don't.
But you're thinking of it like a wrestling fan. You're not thinking of it like a father and son. Really, what's all that's happening here is dad is helping his son become a star.
But is he becoming a star though? Can you honestly say, as we sit
Trying
here?
to trying to help his son become a star.
Yeah, I guess you're right on that score. But I don't even think it's working. I mean, I'm not a fan of Dominic Mysterio.
You know what's really missing? It's the fucking mask.
That is true. Now, if he wore
Like,
a
if he
mask,
had a mask, you can call him Mysterio if he has no mask.
oh dear. Right, sorry, I've just seen. Have you seen? Can you show the comment from Daphne?
Oh, I'm sorry, Daphne. So sad to hear. Our prayers are with you. Come in, Ray. Probably cooked all day and didn't get to enjoy all that hard work. Oh, we may come on. Sorry to hear, Dan. Prayers are for you. But he comes to the door in his mask.
Oh dear, it's yeah.
They're all sitting around the Thanksgiving table. Ray, will you take your mask off at the no? I don't take my mask
off. It's really, really thingy, but yeah, I mean, some people might dig it. I personally didn't. I mean, we'll leave it at that. I think.
All right, so let's get into our next segment. It's always a fun segment that we have here.
It's called The Vault.
No, it's not.
You keep glitching. Sorry.
It's called
Good evening, everybody. This is Mr.
It's called Good Evening.
I forgot. It's called
Good evening, everybody. This is Mr. Isaacs here with another edition of Bull or Truth. Today, we are going to discuss the ghost of Oxford Milford Road. When Brad Culp was a student at Miami University in Oxford, Ohio, there was a rumor that the town was one of the most haunted places in America. When Culp started an on-campus magazine, he couldn't wait to write about several of the area's most famous phantoms. Not long after his story published, though, he kept finding himself thinking about one ghost in particular, the ghost of Oxford Milford Road. As the story goes, many decades ago, probably sometime in the 1940s, there was a young man courting a young woman in a rural part of town. Because the woman's parents didn't approve of the match, each night he visited under the cover of darkness. After her parents went to bed, the young woman would sneak out of her farmhouse and flash the lights of her parents' car 3 times. Then her young suitor would ride his motorcycle down the road. One night, he took the turn right before her house a little too sharp, says Culp. The motorcycle went one way, he went the other. His injuries were so severe that he did not survive. Rumor has it, however, that his love-struck ghost still haunts the stretch of Milford Road. Curious, Culp, his girlfriend, now his wife, and a friend decided to head out there one night to see if they could verify the tale. His girlfriend was worried she'd be completely freaked out. She believes more in that stuff than I do, Culp says. But he was mostly concerned that his suspicions that none of this was actually true would be confirmed. On this particular night, as Culp passed the abandoned farm, an idea came to him, and he pitched it to his girlfriend. How could she not say yes? Though reluctant, she relented, and Culp turned a short way into the farmhouse driveway. He killed the engine and flashed his light 3 times. No joke, There was a single headlight that appeared 3/4 of a mile down the road, Culp says. You saw it start to come, going pretty slow. It kept coming and coming. My wife was freaking out. It was coming closer and closer. As a collision seemed imminent, Culp turned on his car's lights. He expected to see a kid on a bike, bailing out from his prank now and he'd be caught. But there's nothing there. The light is just gone, he says. They got out of the car. They walked around, trying to figure out what it was they could have seen. To this day, we still talk about it. I saw something I cannot explain, he says. If you get him and his wife around a campfire, they'll swear up and down that the story is true. And if you ever are in Oxford, Ohio, consider parking for just a few minutes on Oxford Milford Road at night to test your own nerve. All right, gentlemen. Is this story true?
Well,
all right. So I meant to show this first. This is a segment, of course, it's called Bull or Truth. And I'm not going to make you go first. Do you want me to go first? I'll go first. But do you want to go first?
it's entirely up to you. I'm happy either way.
I'm thinking this is a true story.
Yeah, I'm kind of agreeing with this. I think it is a true story.
Okay, if you're watching at home,
Joseph said bull.
what do you guys think? Is this true? Oh, Joseph Graham says this is bull. Interesting. He's going against us. Anyone else? We'll give you 10 seconds to chime in before we play the answer. So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right. So here is the answer.
Are we ready for the answer? All right. This story, my friends, is true. Have a great evening, everybody.
What was with the laugh?
I like that he added the laugh at the end. That is classic.
Oh dear. Oh my
Oh, it's
god.
creepy enough with some of these things on here today, without adding the smooth, sexy, scary laugh.
Yeah, I mean, he tells some really amazing stories, and hopefully we're getting back on the show at some point.
Oh yeah, we're excited to have him on there. So let's start the vault. It looks like it's time to open up the vault.
Do you know the combination?
All right, inside the vault today is this beautiful picture or t-shirt of Adrian Adonis, of course, available at his pro wrestling tee store /Adrian Adonis. And of course, I posted this story to his Twitter account. This is from the Portland wrestling promotion. So they told a story on Tales from the Territory where they're done with Portland and all the cool things, the funny things, and the strange things that happen there. One of the things they were talking about one of the guys there named Eaton Owen. And Eaton Owen, he liked to go in the locker room with all the guys, and he's smoking a big cigar. And he'd be, all right, guys, here we go. This is going to be a good night for wrestling. He's got the cigar in his mouth. And on one such occasion, he's sitting there smoking the cigar, and he puts it down into the ashtray. And I guess he's got to go deal with something in the office. And while he is going to deal with something, he leaves the room. Adrian Adonis grabs the cigar, sticks it in his pants, and sticks the part you put in your mouth in his anus. So he twisted it around and he puts it back in the ashtray. Now, Owens comes back and he's like, "Oh, what were we talking about?" Grabs the cigar and he starts smoking it. And the first thing he says, "Who's shitting here?" He doesn't realize it's coming from the cigar.
Oh dear. I don't even know what to say to that story.
The more we watch these Tales of the Turtles, I got a feeling Adrian's going to turn up again because he's such a character.
Oh dear, that is brilliant. That's really made me smile, that one.
Yeah, I guess those wrestlers they get into a lot of shit.
No shit.
All right, so let's bring us to the main event, which is, as you see the banner below, Fear the Graveyard Shift. It's story time with Canada Drive, baby.
Have we not fixed that bit yet where my bit's got taken out?
I don't know. The paranormal people haven't put it back.
We need to get onto these interns.
Yes. So we're going to start off. I told you at the beginning of the show that I was going to tell you a tale, a paranormal tale, a true story that happened to my friend that led to his death. But before we do, I'm going to tell you a little bit of other stories that happened to me on the graveyard shift. So I worked a graveyard shift twice in my life. One was at a bread factory, and one's at my current job where I no longer work the graveyard shift. So when I worked at the bread, I guess it's not a bread factory. It's a bakery. It's not a bread factory. Why are you working at the old bread factory? I worked with a lot of Filipinos there. And they told me that there's a ghost in the bakery. And one of them, there's this area, this long hallway in this place. And that's where all the supplies are kept and everything. And it was called the bowling alley. And well, I was asking one of my coworkers, I'm like, so what's the deal with this ghost? Have you seen it? And they're like, oh, yes, I've seen it. I'm like, well, where did you see it? And they're like, well, I saw it in the bowling alley. And I'm like, well, what did you see? And they're like, well, what I saw was a man with arms and legs, and he was hovering with no legs. He was like kind of just hovering. And he had arms, legs, and but just no feet, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And he was hovering down the bowling alley to the end of the hallway. And I was like, "Yeah, right." He's no, you're lying to me. He's like, "No, I promise you, this is what I saw." And so I didn't really think too much of it until a couple days later. We have freezers. They're giant freezers. And so I was going in the freezer to move around some of the where we put the bread. And for a split second, there was this head poking out behind one of the where we keep the bread. And then it was gone.
Just the head?
Poking its head out, and then it was gone.
Was it just the head, or was it like a bit of this?
Well, it was like someone was there poking around, looking at me. It was like we have these giant. We have these giant racks with wheels that we put all the bread, and we just load up all the bread on it. And he was hiding behind the bread cart.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so fast forward to my job I have now. And so one of the jobs on the graveyard shift was just to clean up a little while I was there. And so I was filling up the mop bucket, and when you're filling up water, all of a sudden you realize you have to go pee.
Yep, you do.
So I'm like, okay, I'm going to leave this mop bucket to fill up. And then I'm just going to quickly run over and pee while it's filling up. And it's on the other side of the bathroom's on the other side of where the mop bucket's filling up. And all of a sudden I heard the water turn off.
There's nobody else there?
No, it's just me. And so I come back and the water's off. And I'm like, I'm freaking out.
I imagine anybody would.
And so the thing I do is I go to the AFW chat and I start telling everyone, like, if there's something here doing it, because I needed to talk to somebody because I was freaking out. I had a couple more hours left to go on my shift, and it was getting to me. So on that shift I was working alone, but normally before COVID hit, I was working with a partner. And this is the partner who died. So on one occasion, we just sit and shoot the shit about everything. And we talk about Star Trek or wrestling or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have a lot to do. We just had to make sure that the place was clean and, kind of a little bit of security, a little bit of, taking care of people at the same time. If they knock on the door, we can give them some food or something. But anyways, we realized that it was 3:00 in the morning and we had some cleaning to do because we're like, we got to clean this place up a bit. So I'm down by the stairs and I hear him screaming, and I come running because I think maybe there's an intruder.
Okay.
And so he tells me that he saw a shadow figure. And the shadow figure went around the corner. And so I went over to where he said the shadow figure went, and the hairs on my arm were standing up. And so what I did was I said a quick little prayer, kind of haphazardly, not really focused, just saying it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I went back to my cleaning duties, and my coworker was standing at the top of the stairs, and he was still talking to me. And then as I was going up the stairs, I felt something rush at me and like go through me.
Was it like a wind type thing, or?
Yes, but it felt like a energy. And I was zapped. Like I had no strength, and I had to hold on to the railing to climb up the stairs. And so what we did then was we actually did a proper, really powerful prayer, and it kind of like was gone. So did this thing try to push me down the stairs?
I think it sounds like it, yes.
Yeah. So this brings me now to the COVID era, and so I'm now working alone, and now I'm working the daytime shift, and he's doing what my job was, right? Mm-hmm. And so I'd see him when I'd come in the morning, and one morning he goes, I really need to talk to you about something. I'm like, what? He's like, I just heard a spirit call out my name.
Wow, that's really creepy.
And we were talking about, there's three of us because we just came in for the day shift and he was just finishing up the night shift. And a week later, he was dead.
I don't even know how to answer that.
Yeah, it was just the creepiest thing. Like, he told us that a spirit was calling out his name. He'd heard it.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like you hear me talking to you now. You heard it say like this. I can't say the guy's name. I don't want to say his name. Let's just make up a name. Bobby.
Fish.
Did you just say fish? The spirit said Bobby Fish. And then a week later, he was dead.
Did we find out what of?
I don't want to say. We'll just keep it that.
Okay, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. No worries. Wow, that's pretty powerful. I really don't know.
Yeah, that to me, like thinking about like that after he died, that he heard this a week before he died. You can't write this stuff.
No, you can't. You cannot write that at all. God, that's made me feel really, really cold. Oh,
maybe you need a blanket. I got one.
I need more than a blanket, pal.
I got my Grizzlies hoodie here. Get feel nice and warm.
Oh dear, wow. And that's a personal story, obviously, to you.
Yeah. My graveyard stories. Oh, also one other I forgot to mention. This happened this week. As I was coming in, my coworker asked, "Did you just get in?" I'm like, "Yeah, I just came in." He's like, "Well, I just heard someone walking around the building. And if you just got in, there must be some sort of ghost or something."
So, is this place where you work known for ghost activity?
Well, there's a funeral home right next door.
There's your answer.
And apparently it's across the street, but it was part of there was an apartment building that's right next door as well. And that used to be part of the funeral home was there, and then they moved it.
Wow.
So I wonder if the displacement of the funeral home made something like that go on.
I feel like I'm eating a freezy that gives me the chills. Yeah, I feel that as well. Remember me feeling really, really cold, that one.
Oh man. Yeah, so yeah, that's my work for you. And that's the fear, the graveyard shift moment.
We could do literally the whole episode on all your actual, experiences, I bet.
Well, I still need some more then.
Dear.
I'm not on the Austin Lee level, so
no. Austin's got a whole book
not too many people are on that level of paranormal bullshit.
Oh dear. I'm super excited. Obviously he's on the show tomorrow, so ask him how the book's going, actually. We'll see.
Okay, so you have a story.
I've got two, but I'm going to mention this
one.
These
didn't happen to you, but
No.
there's something that you learned about.
Yep, so I'm going to tell you the first one. You've got another story, then I'll finish off with a story which made me feel really, really cold. Is that all right?
Let's do this.
Let's do this. So my story is from a man who calls himself John Lockwell. Now, he was a night watchman, and he obviously did what he call a brewery. So he obviously, at the night time, he obviously went around doing all the stuff. Now, this brewery obviously had several plants, so it had like several areas. Now, it also had like a shop area for like the public to buy typical beer stuff.
So to go and come buy their beer, right?
There you go. So John always said, as he began to like settle in with the shifts, he began to feel really, really uneasy. Now, we've spoke about this countless times. He had the feeling of being watched. Now, I think there's quite a few episodes we've obviously mentioned that. Now, as he completed the second patrol, he returned to the bar area. As he was crossing the bar, he had that same feeling again. He was being watched. As he turned round, standing in the doorway, he saw the glimpse of what he described as a humanoid figure. So we're not talking like a human, we're talking like a beast-type figure. Now, the first thing I...
It was not a ghost.
It says a humanoid figure. That's all it said. It didn't say like a ghost. Now, apparently this was covered in long, thick hide, which is like fur.
So almost like a Bigfoot.
Yes, that's what we're getting to. Now, apparently it was too large to fit through the door, so it didn't, kind of like I said, it just come through the door, and it had oversized arms, like limping at side, so it was kind of like yeah. The first thing I thought was a Bigfoot. Now, no sooner had he made eye contact that it just disappeared. And now we're just talking literally sudden. We're not talking like vanished like that. We literally went bang, gone. Now, obviously, John went to where the door was. He went to investigate, and there was no traces, signs. It was like it was never there. Now, the creepy thing was he tried to discuss this with his security guards, like obviously his peers and stuff, but yet not a single person wanted to discuss it. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of like too much secretive.
Yeah, what's the deal with that?
Maybe there's no more to what they let on. However, one of his colleagues stated that this something was weird but frequent to appear on the site, yet harmless. Just think
I
that
think
through.
he added that last part to just don't worry about it. He didn't actually know it was harmless.
No, he didn't. But 1 week later, obviously, he was doing his shift again, walking through the exact same area. Now, to get into like these certain areas, he had like what is called a key card. So he had to open his key card to let him into one section and two sections. Now, as he went to open his key card, obviously in the reflection, behind him, and I'm talking smack behind him, he saw the exact humanoid figure smack behind him. But yet the creepy thing was, let me just make sure I get this right. He could only see this presence, but he couldn't feel it. That's the creepy thing. So even though it was smack behind him, he couldn't feel it. Do you know, feel it, if you know what I mean? You could only see it.
You'd feel like a presence behind you.
Yep. Now, overcome with adrenaline, he's just literally rushing to try and get the key open. As he got the key open, he went to turn around, and again, the figure just vanished.
Or it wasn't there at all.
Who knows? Could
because
it be
it was
mine?
only in the reflection, right?
Mm-hmm. Now, all he described was it had like an intense glaze. I don't know if you know what I mean by that. So like proper like serious face, as we call it. Now, this had so much of an effect on John that he actually quit the job shortly after. And
I wouldn't blame. I'd do the same thing, man.
Oh dear! And he refused to do night shifts from now on. Now, you obviously this story obviously played a little effect on you. You said it scared you a little bit.
Oh yeah, this is a bit of a chiller, to say the least.
Very, very chiller. So, but yeah, I mean, the first thing I thought of was like a Dogman type thing.
Yeah, but like it's the one thing I thought is somebody had allowed some sort of demonic presence. Maybe someone had done some sort of magic there, and that's a lot of our answers come down to that.
Yeah, have you noticed a lot of the stories we cover? There seems to be a connection from each story.
Well, for sure.
For sure. So that's the first story I have. Now I do believe you've got another story.
Yeah. So this is in the southwest part of England.
Ooh, okay.
Do you know England at all?
I should do. I'm from there.
A little bit. So, have you heard of the St. Louis Hospital?
I have.
So they were known for housing the mentally ill. Do you know of this?
I do vaguely, but go ahead.
Okay. So over the years, as it was built in 1818, it expanded 6 times. But its reputation had been marred because of how they mistreated the mentally ill. They were kind of a lot of times you hear about this sexual abuse and just like the shocking and all that kind of stuff. And some legal stuff went on, and they eventually had to close in where we see we got this it closed in 2002, and since it had expanded so big since 1818, a lot of the place was sitting unused and dormant, and I guess a lot of the homeless people like to get in there and stuff like that. So they had to kind of get the gate around it, hire security to make sure that the transients weren't getting in. One of the main hospital areas had been changed into luxury apartments.
Okay.
And I wonder if the ghosts are haunting them too. Not getting your money's worth, that's for sure. So let me. So we're gonna get to our guy Steve Hennington. He was hired to be security there, and he talks about some paranormal stories and eerie things that went on, like doors would violently shut, and gurneys would just slide down the hallway with no one pushing them. You would hear footsteps in the floors above. You would hear footsteps in rooms around that no one's supposed to be there. And then there's the locked doors. You would hear cackling, like it's kind of like the Joker sort of thing.
Yeah.
And you would hear whimpering in some of the locked doors as well. People said they saw shadow figures pass through walls. So the thing about the security job is there's usually two people on at a time, and it involves CCTV cameras. So one of the guys would usually do the rounds, and the other guy would watch on camera to make sure that everything's going all right. And sometimes they'd have a trainee that would come in. So one night in February 2004, Steve Hennington and his co-worker, Rob Duran, they had a trainee that day. So Rob was going to be going off on some holidays, and so they were training Sean Pollock to take over his job. Now, Steve Hennington started to feel sick, and so he told the guys, I'm not feeling well. Do you guys mind if I just go have a lay down and you guys can take care of it for a bit? Oh, no problem, Steve. We got it. And so in one of the outbuildings, they had some gurneys that had been left over, and they would use them to just lie down sometimes to get some shut-eye. So he's lying down, and he's trying to get some sleep. And it's been about 10 minutes. And at first he thinks it's the wind, but it's too methodical. And he's just hearing this weird breathing.
Yeah.
And then he's like, okay. So he yells, hey guys, enough of this bullshit. You guys can stop your pranks. I'm trying to sleep. Come on, guys. And then he turns over and he tries to go to sleep. And so he notices the breathing. It seems like it's coming from outside the room at first in the hallway. And now it seems like it's come into the room. So he gets up again, looks around, and it now seems like it's coming from outside.
Is this like his mind playing tricks on him?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. So he's hearing this strange breathing, and he then thinks, well, maybe someone's outside. Maybe some homeless people got in. And so he gets the flashlight, opens the window, looks down to see if there's anyone out there, and there's no one there. Shuts the window, turns around, and then he sees it. There's this slim woman in a hospital gown, and it's her making the breathing noises. And she's got her back to the wall, and she's facing him, and she's kind of breathing, and she looks kind of, like the ring, how the hair is covering up her face.
Yep.
Like how you said that, like, I don't want to hear anymore. So she's breathing heavily, and he doesn't think it's a ghost at first. He's like, some poor woman needs help.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, do you need help? And she doesn't respond. And so he comes a little closer. She's about 3 feet away from him, and he puts her hand on her shoulder, and she recoils and screams and disappears into the wall.
Literally just screams and then just vanishes.
No, she doesn't vanish. She backs up into the wall and disappears into it.
What?
So he actually had a physical touch on her shoulder. She screams, backs up to the wall, and goes through it. And so he starts screaming, and he's running back to the boys and where the camera room is, and they're startled as he walks in. And so where is it? So his coworkers are just kind of like, "Are you okay, buddy?" And then all of a sudden, Rob goes, he's like, "You seen it, didn't you? You seen her too, didn't you?" And so Rob has seen her on different time as him as well. So this place has definitely got something going on there paranormally.
Absolutely.
So that gives you the chills, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It does. Just don't know what it is about these stories we've covered today, but it's giving me more chills than ever.
Yeah, this has got some thrills and chills. You got the thrills with the wrestling and the chills with the story.
Yep, absolutely.
Any questions on that one, or anything you want to talk, or we'll just move on?
I think I'd just rather just move on.
Let's not think about it too much.
Oh dear!
You gotta go to bed soon. It's dark. It's like, what time is it there?
It's nearly midnight.
Yeah, it's midnight. You don't want no one coming to visit you at night.
Dear. Right, so shall I finish
I
up
might
my...
be looking for a new co-host if that happens.
A fourth one.
Yes.
Oh dear. Right, so shall I finish off with this story which really made me give me chills?
Yeah, this one's you told me, like, prior to telling the story, you told me that this really concerned you. It gave you the heebie-jeebies. You actually felt your house is all heated up right now, but you felt a literal cold.
Yeah, and I just want to point that out as we've covered loads of things over the past couple of months, but this story just really, it just gets me. I've got chills now, just thinking I haven't even started yet. Oh dear. Right, so I'll get started. So we've spoke about, obviously, derelict buildings, but this is one of the busiest buildings on the island of Honolulu. This rings a bell.
Hawaii.
Located in central Waipahu. I hope I've said that right. I've got my phone here just so I can actually say the words right.
Let's just say it's Hawaii.
Okay. The Key Makai Training Center is the main coaching facility for the Honolulu Police Department. This is going to be obviously a key area. Now, we're talking about the watchman who goes by the name of Tony. There's no second name. He's just basically called Tony.
It's the Tony.
Tony, what's going on? Now, of course, Tony obviously does all your standard stuff for one night watching and stuff like that. Now, one evening, obviously, as he's doing his standard rounds, he could overhear his police dogs, which were obviously of the other end of the area, was going absolutely berserk. What the hell? Did I see myself echoing?
Creepy.
That just really creeped me out. Now, he could obviously hear the police dogs literally going absolutely berserk. Now, obviously being the night watchman, he obviously went to investigate. And obviously as he got there, the dogs were going absolutely ballistic. But apparently some sort of commotion. Like they're literally just kicking off at something. They didn't say what, but there was nothing there. As he obviously got to the dogs, he overheard a series of loud bangs, which sounded like two planks of wood like being smacked together. You ever had that feeling?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, have you? Oh dear.
I've had a number of times. Just get that feeling. The loud planks of wood. What were they?
Planks of wood. Literally, it'll make sense in a second.
Okay.
Now, situated not far from where the dogs were, there was an empty building which was for firearms training. Now, the one thing he noticed is the shutters, which were made of wood, were opening and closing, with no signs of like, people like opening and closing them themselves. They're doing it basically on their own accord. Now, at first, he wasn't too sure how to react. But once he shouted to announce his presence, and said, "Hey, Hugh," the shutters just stopped. Like there's no signs whatsoever. The shutters literally just stopped. It's like
you could end the story right here with the shutters. It'd be creepy enough just opening and shutting on their own.
Oh no, we've not finished yet. We're just getting started.
Oh no.
Now, obviously, he went to investigate the entire building, and there was no signs of like squatters. There was no signs. There was no forced entry. There was literally no signs whatsoever. Then, obviously, as he went back to his post, he never went back to that building for the rest of the shift. Yeah, that's the first part. Now, let's get into the good bit.
Oh, the good bit. That was the good bit.
Now, 2 nights after, he obviously been working at the main entrance site. That's where he was working.
Right.
And obviously, he went out to obviously have a cigarette. Typical workers do.
Right.
Now, as he's obviously having a cigarette, he looked up to notice just make sure I get this right. An old lady in a white dress was literally walking across in the car park. Right? So
this is the middle of the night. What's she doing there?
There you go. So he was a little bit confused because it's like I just locked all the gates. So as he began, I'm just getting shivers now, and I ain't even said the best bit yet. Assuming that she wanted help, he got up, obviously to help, but then she wasn't there. She just literally just vanished.
Ooh.
Yeah. Now, immediately he wanted to call for assistance. So as he turned round, obviously to go to where his office was, the woman was smacked behind him. The exact same woman in a white dress. Yep. But apparently she had what it was described as an angry face. Like it's really weird. Right?
Yeah,
okay.
Kind of similar to the lady in my story, right?
There you go. So as the woman began to walk to him, his initial reaction was to grab his gun. But again, the woman just disappeared. Now, as he's overcome with absolutely emotions, he sat on a bench. And do you know, like when you go like that with your face, stuff like that?
Yeah.
Because he was so exhausted, with literally everything what's got off. He's seen the same lady twice. As he's looked up, he's come face to face with the exact same woman in the white dress.
And she's right up to his face now.
Yeah, we're talking literally face to face.
Oh, man.
I'm like, what the hell?
This is straight out of the horror movies, all this stuff.
Absolutely. Oh, dear. Now, the first thing he's decided to do is get up and just run. I don't know why, but his initial reaction was literally just to get up and run. He only ever looked back once, and she still stared at him.
Oh, she was still there. She wasn't disappeared. She was standing on the ground.
Oh, dear. And look, it's got airs in me thing now. It's really creepy. It's just that last bit as you look up, just coming face to face with the same woman.
Wow.
Oh, what do you reckon to that one?
That's creepy. That part where he puts down her face and just calm down. All of a sudden, she's there.
But the thing that got me is the angry feet, like the angry face, like angry. Why?
Yeah, we have a few that are kind of like that, where the moments where not aside from my personal story, is that the guy where he's putting the key card in, all of a sudden he sees the thing right in front of him, it's glaring at him. We see the thing where the guy puts a hand on his shoulder, she freaks out and disappears into the wall.
Yeah.
And then one where he puts his hand down and then she's just there. And all
Yeah.
three, they just kind of all freak out, right?
Yeah, I will obviously emphasize this again that we've covered many stories, but this one specifically has made me feel so.
What about my story? Did that creep you out?
Oh yeah,
That
absolutely.
was pretty like when you know, like, to me, I just like I tried to kind of put that out of my mind. But it's true that's how he died.
But here's the thing, though. Do you know what I mean? When you read stories like that, you often think, is it your mind playing tricks on you? Because that can happen.
Yeah, and the thing is, I might have thought that about my friend had I not experienced it myself.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the thing. I experienced it there, and I know he experienced it because I experienced it with him too, right?
Absolutely.
Where the thing tried to push me down the stairs. So.
But yeah, that's probably one of the creepiest.
I think that has been the Fear of the Graveyard Shift. We've been a bit over here, so why don't you tell them where you can find our stuff, our merch?
Well, you can head to effingwrestling.com. You can find all our social medias on there. You can find us on Twitter. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on YouTube. I mean, we're on YouTube now. You can also head to prowrestlingtees.com/effingwrestling. You can get the effing wrestling shirt. You can get a Magic of Wrestling shirt. You can get Wrestling with a Paranormal shirt. You can get AFW shirt. We're currently in season 3, if I remember rightly.
Yep.
You can obviously always join. The community is brilliant. What we got on the show this week?
So on Sunday, the All Effing Wrestling Show, we are going to be doing a fantasy draft.
Ooh, okay. That sounds interesting.
So I'm not going to tell you very much more, but we're going to be doing a fantasy draft, and we're going to be drafting people from WWE to AEW, and it's going to work like a draft. We're going to have 4 rounds, 4 people, 4 rounds. So that'll be fun. And also tomorrow night, you'll be hosting AFW Backstage.
That's correct. We've obviously got 3 new more guested, obviously, in the pod. We've got Austin Lee, we've got Rich Southwood, and we've, of course, got Ali Caney, who I'm super excited to be back on the show.
Yeah, that should be fun. So, yeah, I guess that is from you. Other than our little outro we always do, I guess I'll just remind you to keep on with the paranormal.
And don't forget to have your cats, dogs, and parrots spaded. Help control the pet population.
I think I want to add one thing to that. Can we
Go ahead.
add one thing to that today?
Go ahead.
I'd like to have Dallas Branham fixed. Can we get him
What's he
fixed?
done? Yeah, we can get him fixed.
No, we want to get he's a little bit horny, so we want to get him fixed.
Oh, dear.
And remember, just keep fighting